When this came out, in the first go-round of coming out, so to speak, what was the most fun thing to do for you on the road while you were hawking your film?
I think for sure. I mean, the festival circuit is a blast, but it's the comments you get afterward when people come up and flood you with their own stories. And there are some that are pretty funny, but there are also some that are pretty powerfully harming. And one of the most interesting I heard was down in Little Rock, Arkansas. And a woman had come up to us after seeing the film, and her father had died 2 months before. And he came out to her, and he knew that he was terminally ill, and she would not talk to him. She wouldn't come to visit him. She thought unless he changed his ways and moved from his perversion, she didn't want to even see him because she knew he'd be going to hell, all this stuff. And so he died without ever, seeing his daughter again. And I don't even know what made her come to the movie that night. I have no idea why she would walk in the doors of that theater. And she was just in tears and said I'd seen this movie a couple weeks beforehand, or a couple months beforehand, it could have really changed things. But for me, that's a good example, too, of how the clergy have failed that man, have failed that woman, had failed every single person in that type of situation in that church in Little Rock, of letting someone die without stepping in and saying, you know what, maybe just go see him. Maybe, I don't know, stuff like that just really gets under my skin, at least.
Yes. And did you guys traipse around as a crew when you were presenting? Because you won some awards with this.
Yeah.
You got a Best Documentary jury prize from somewhere that I can't read because the type's too small.
That's the Reeling Film Festival, and an audience award in Tallgrass, which is in Kansas.
Which is great, yeah.
So there's two producers that are amazing, Fazia Mirza and Kristen Kaza, and they would come with me a lot to a lot of places, and we try to tag team or do things even as a triplet sometimes. And then when possible too, I try to have the animators come because they're such a huge creative force behind the film. And we had Ky King do our score, who's just a brilliant musician.
Unbelievable guitar. Tell me her name again.
Her name is Ky King. She's the only female to ever be on Rolling Stone's Guitar Gods list.
She's on the list of guitar gods.
Yeah.
In case you missed what Kai just said.
Yeah.
And the first female.
Yeah, the only female.
Rolling Stone. Thank you for coming aboard.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
No, I mean...
for Ky,
for their long-awaited arrival at now.
Yeah.
But how wonderful that you got her working with you. Where did you guys
we just
bump
had
into each other?
Really cool... She was in town about 2 years ago, and Kristen Kaza, one of the producers, loved her music and said she'd be great for our score, because at the time Ky wasn't very lyrical, it was mostly instrumental. I listened to it and I agreed, so we went to go catch her show at the Empty Bottle. Talked to her a little bit beforehand, but she was pretty distracted, and so afterward we went back down. We had run into the tamale man who comes around Chicago to the bars with the tamales, and got a bunch of tamales and got some beer and went downstairs again. And I think we just won their hearts with the tamales.
By feeding
the whole
them.
band.
I've learned that works very well. Yes.
And
give musicians food.
And show to the trailer.
They're yours for at least as long as it takes to gobble it down.
Yeah, we had the 20 minutes while they're eating to be like, here's the trailer, here's our pitch. And then Ky was just on board, and she was awesome to work with.
Wow.
Totally generous and
very,
great.
very cool.
Yeah.
Well, what's next for you? And are you going to stay? I bet you're going to do a lot of different things, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, for the next year, I wanted to jump into something kind of quickly, but I've realized that there's a necessity for, I think, me to keep driving this to make sure people hear about it. So
actually, let's say the website.
Oh, yeah, it's fishoutofwaterfilm.com. And so we're trying to book screenings in as many churches and temples, community centers, schools as possible. Really try to let the kids, the youth, know about it.
It's a great youth group flick to show in your church youth group. So there's nothing scary about it.
No, not at all. It's not combative. It's very conciliatory. Right. So yeah, we're just trying to get it around the country. I'm translating it into Spanish in the next few weeks. We've had a lot of demand from Mexico, South America, even the American Latino community. So Spanish, but I am researching my next film right now too. So there's a couple things on the burner which make it fun and
that's great.
Keep things interesting.
You're a young talent. You have much ahead of you.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, that's thrilling.
Thank you.
Don't limit yourself in any way.
No.
And is Chicago going to stay your home base for the near future?
For a while. It's a great place to make documentaries out of, because documentaries can be, you don't need to be in LA. It's kind of, you're your own thing. You're your own machine when you're making a doc. So
Right.
it's a cheap place to live, and it's centrally located. So for right now, Chicago's a great home base, and I don't see myself leaving anytime soon. And my team is here. The editors I like to work with are here. My camera people are here. So there's a lot to be said for that loyalty that you build
That's
in your first project.
And for the last 40 minutes, we've been talking with folks doing important, interesting, and creative work. Ky, before we let you off our stage this time, of course, you're going to come back after your next project. Let's recap for folks. Your film called Fish Out of Water is all about what the Bible really does say about being gay. And it debunks all those,
Clobber passages.
What do you call them?
Clobber passages.
Clobber you with the passage.
Yeah.
They're like, depending on who you talk to, 7 to 9
7 to 9, yeah.
passages. Give people one example that's often thrown at folks. And
sure.
I forgot to do
we
this.
go through Adam and Eve. We go through Sodom and Gomorrah. We go through Leviticus, where it says a man should not lay with another man. We go through the 2 verses. There's one in Timothy and one in Corinthians that says that gays are going to hell. So we look at the original Greek or Hebrew text and, like you said, debunk them and talk to theologians and ministers about what these verses actually mean, what the context was in which they were written.
Back then, yes.
And they're animated, which keeps it fun and light.
It's animated, and there's a little etymological, breakdown, which helps. I like that when people go, this was said in Greek. When you translate it, come on, people.
Right.
So that's all very helpful, and this is the kind of film that, as you said while we were off mic, you don't want it to become just something.
Right, you're preaching to the choir. We're very much hoping basically to turn a movie into a movement, and to do that we need ambassadors in their own communities. So we are really encouraging people to show it to someone who you don't think would want to see it. Help ask your pastor or a teacher to book a screening and invite people who might be on the fence around this issue. And like I said, on our website we have the ability, people have the ability to send it anonymously to someone else, which...
And the website is?
fishoutofwaterfilm.com.
fishoutofwaterfilm.com. And, while it is a gentle piece on this very heated subject, it will engender heated conversation.
Yeah.
So, you want to treat it lovingly, treat your audience and where you choose to show it, I guess, carefully.
Yeah.
So people are taken care of. Well, good work, Ky, and pleasure to have you up here.
Thank you.
We're going to make a couple of announcements, but first I'd like to elicit a little round of applause, please, for Ky Dickens and her film Fish Out of Water, that she go forth and keep gently educating folks about things that we need to get past.
Great. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you so much.